Welcome to the Weightlifting.ai Podcast. I am your host, Max Ada. I am joined, as always, by Joshua Gibson. How are you doing today, Josh?
I'm doing great. Yeah. We are on a tear with podcasts.
I would say so. So today, an interesting topic. Josh actually brought up about 8 seconds before we started this podcast, which was who are the top or your top people in weightlifting that didn't live up to their potential, maybe for whatever reason, not drug positive, but like they were great, but they couldn't make the lifts in the platform, and they did giant numbers in training, but didn't do it on the platform. Or maybe they just, they clarked everything.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I came up with a short list of my own, and we're going to kind of go through that, and Josh add his own to it, and we'll go from there. So the first one I put on here, I think not in any particular order, but Gleb Pisarevsky, a Russian dude. He was a 105, competed in the early 2000s, to 2008, I think. He was a guy who in training was doing 200 plus snatch, 245 plus clean and jerk.
Yeah.
In the 105s, he was going up against Dmitry Berestov, going up against Klokov, and then whoever else was, in that mix.
Right.
And just looked like the guy who was going to do it. There was an interview I remember seeing with Klokov talking about how this guy was the guy. Everyone thought he was the guy, and then didn't happen. Didn't have great meets. Just couldn't put those numbers together on the platform, So that would be my first, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen his lifts?
Not really. I imagine if I saw it, I would say, that's Gleb.
Yeah,
but
probably because the video would have his name in it.
That's exactly right.
The other ones, my second one or next one on the list, I would say is Saeed Ali Husseini. And I've actually met him a few times now at Asians and then at Worlds. Very nice dude, very friendly, very, open. But I did pull him aside and I was like, I think you're one of the guys who didn't quite do it. And That's not true. I didn't do that. I was terrified of him. Huge dude. He was a super from Iran. He, as a junior, did a 206 snatch, junior world record. I think he clean and jerked 240, maybe 245-ish, somewhere in that range. If we had Seb here, he'd know all the numbers.
Yeah.
But, the story that Randy Strawson of Iron Mind told me was that he was supposedly the guy who was better than Rezazadeh.
Yeah.
And they thought he's going to be the one to do more. Randy told me that he spoke to the coaches, spoke to him, and was told of a 215, 270
Wow.
as his best lifts.
Wow.
You watch him there's some videos of him doing a 250 clean and jerk, and it just looks like a toy.
Mm-hmm.
Looks so light. He got injured at a meet, hurt his elbow, and then got 2 drug positives. And back then, he was banned for a lifetime.
Yeah.
Then they reversed the rule, changed the rule to your second drug positive being only an 8-year suspension. So he actually became eligible to compete again in 2017 in Anaheim.
Yeah.
And that's where he came back, did one more meet. And I want to say he did a 203, 250 something, But by then, we obviously had Lasha.
Yeah.
So, Lasha did 220 snatch there, and that was kind of the end of that.
Yeah, and I think with a lot of these people, or with a lot of weightlifters in general, there are all these stories, right, of what they have done or what they maybe did, and it's well, now we have Lasha, and we know exactly what he's done, and he has done those massive numbers.
It just kind of ruins it.
Yeah,
it's it's unfortunate there's not a cool saying once you go Talahadze, you don't go Bakahadze.
Sure.
But, it's just kind of that's it, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll ever see someone that good.
He's the greatest super of all time.
Yeah, maybe the greatest weightlifter of all time.
You think he's better than 9?
Well, if he does a 500 total, he'd have a higher Sinclair, I think.
Okay, so he's not
yet, but he may be. He may become the best weightlifter of all time.
Do you think he will?
The
sound says it all.
Yeah, it's tough to say. It's not that I'm not saying I don't know if he can. It's a matter of will he, and that's going to be a question of one, does he go the way of a Lu Xiaojun, right?
Yeah.
Where it's no one expected that.
Yeah.
Or does it become something where he kind of maybe he hit his peak? That 492 was it, and he got hurt, and then he's older, and you have to recover, and yada yada yada. We don't know.
Right.
God, I hope he does.
Yeah.
I think everyone's kind of rooting for him to do the 500. It could be that he does a 500 total, and that is like the crowning moment of weightlifting, and it's over after that.
Yeah.
They just shut the door, pull the curtains, close it up. We're done.
Yeah.
We did it. Went from 1904. Was that the history of weightlifting?
1896.
1896. I was off by 8. But 1896 to 2024.
Yeah.
We had a good run, guys.
A great run.
But it's over.
From one arm to two.
From one arm to two. We went from style points. We went from barbell helicoptering to
barbell medicine.
Shout out to Jorgen Feigenbaum. Who will never listen to
He'll
this.
never reimburse us for that.
Yeah. So, do you have anyone you want to add to the list?
I'd love to add Pat Mendez.
I'm glad you did, because I know Pat personally. He's a good guy.
Yeah, he's a great dude.
Pat's a good example. Pat did 207. Told me he did 210 after that.
Yeah.
Snatch in training, 230 clean and jerk.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, only ever did like high 170s, 180-ish snatch, and like maybe 220 clean and jerk.
Yeah.
I think about it, maybe somewhere in that range. But then he went down to 105.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like, you knew he wasn't going to hit that 500 total that he claimed in the video.
Right.
So, yeah, kind of a bummer there. So those are 3.
Yeah.
You had someone on here that may be a bit controversial.
Okay.
You were saying, and I'll let you say it if you want.
Yeah.
Well, who?
Ilian.
The only man who didn't live up to his potential. I mean, he only ever did, I don't know, multiple Olympic gold medals, world champion. He's the only guy who ever won juniors, Asians, worlds, and Olympics all in a row. Only weightlifter ever to have accepted one of the most unorthodox hugs that I've ever given to anyone.
Yeah.
Also, just an all-around fun-loving guy.
Yeah.
Why do you say that? Why do you say
I think a lot of this is he was going out right as he was about to make the pull away from the field of like great
human to superhuman.
Like Lasha, right?
Okay.
So imagine Lasha snatches, I don't know, 217, right?
Yeah.
It's a world record.
Yep.
And then it's like, wow, Lasha is the greatest super of all time.
Right.
You can't argue with it. And right before he's in shape to snatch 220, before that was like routine,
right?
Or maybe even he snatched 220, and right before he goes to snatch 225, right?
Okay.
A lift that is otherworldly.
Yeah.
He tests positive.
Okay, I get where you're coming from now.
Yeah.
Because I was like, you were like Ilya Ilin, and I almost slapped you.
Yeah.
I was like, get his name out of your.
I feared your hand.
Get my lifter's name out your fucking mouth, and but I didn't. I held back, unlike some.
I could see your hand.
Unlike some that I'm not going to name.
Yeah.
Not going to name him. Not going to say who it was. It was Will Smith. But I'm going to say this right now. That makes more sense to me.
Yeah.
That it would be somebody who like he was amazing, but we expected something even more.
Yeah, that's
Do you think that's just you being like you just
spoiled?
Well, no, but you're just like putting way too much on these guys. I mean, what does Ilya have to do? What do you think he could have done?
Squat jerk 245.
Yeah, what was supposed to do?
250. Yeah.
250.
250.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean that it's like
I get where you're coming from.
Yeah, that lift is the equivalent of Lasha clean and jerking 270 over 269.
So here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Based on your totally fucked up thinking.
Okay.
Naim Suleimanoglu.
Yeah.
Misses the 1980 Olympics, right? Because they boycotted. Could have gone. Sorry, not 84. Wins the 80 Olympics. Could have gone 84.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't, because they boycotted.
Yeah.
Wins 92, or wins 88, sorry. 92, 96.
Right.
Bombs out 2000.
Yeah.
Could have been, theoretically, 5-time gold medalist. Now, that's a stretch. We're fucking stretching here.
Do you think he could have been?
I just said it. I mean, I literally just
said
those words.
Okay, so you think he had it in him?
I mean, I wouldn't have said it if I didn't think it was true.
Okay.
So the question now, do you think, by your definition, Naim Suleimanoglu was a scrub?
I did not at all at once say anything of the sort.
Josh Gibson, Naim Suleimanoglu was a dirtbag. He basically didn't live up to anything.
Can someone throw quotes around that? Put it up as the headline for this podcast.
Well, because the question is, like, if he'd have been a 4-time gold medalist in the Olympics,
yeah,
would we be sitting here thinking like, oh, he's so fucking good, no one's ever going to come close?
Yeah,
because I mean, he didn't make that. I mean, he bombed in 2000. Even if he just done in 2000 and opened 10 kilos, 5 kilos lighter, right?
Yeah,
and made enough to win, like. We would be talking about him as a 4-time medalist, but now you've thrown him into the ring of like kind of a
kind of a scrub.
I've seen better.
3 times bodyweight clean and jerk or what?
Plus 3 times bodyweight plus 10.
Yeah.
Supposedly, Abujayev told me that the week before he did the 190.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing this in there. The week before he did 190, he did 197.5.
Yeah.
Which is the most outrageous lift I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Of.
How much did he weigh? 60 kilos? Yeah.
That's 3 times bodyweight plus 17 kilos. Check my math on that. I'm not, I just say things.
Pull out your calculator.
Yeah, not sure. Anyways, yeah. Okay, I get your logic. So you're thinking Ilya had more in him, didn't live up to it. We were robbed of the opportunity to see Ilya do a 250 squat jerk.
Yeah. Well, so it's like
insane.
It's like the equivalent of saying Tian Tao was really good. And it's like, or saying Tian Tao never crested what he could have done.
Right.
Right. Given all of his missed lifts or inconsistencies.
Here's an interesting question because we have a lot of time on this podcast, and I'm actually kind of curious. We just talked about people that didn't live up to potential.
Yeah.
Do you think the opposite list exists?
Yeah. Yeah.
No. People that did way more than they should have done.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, that guy was so fucking bad.
Yeah.
But I don't know how he ended up winning and making these lifts.
Yeah.
You say Tian Tao because that's the first guy that comes to my mind.
Yeah,
like,
really.
He shouldn't have won anything because he should have just bombed. He should have missed every lift because he's just that's his thing.
Yeah.
But somehow he was able to make lifts.
Yeah.
And like he edged out somebody great because he hit some big lift. Can you think of someone else that fits that list?
I mean, he tested positive recently, but Rahimov shouldn't have.
Oh yeah,
he shouldn't have won 2016.
Now we're getting into
games.
We're getting into the category of gifts.
I mean, it's such a Hail Mary, right? And it's like such a low probability lift. And then he makes it and he's like, okay, you've beaten one of the greatest weightlifters of our era, almost in the most improbable way possible.
If you were his coach in the back, I can imagine the conversation being like, he's about to go out for 214. And the significance of 214 in that class is that nobody had broken Parapachenov's 210, right? So that record had stood forever. And everybody was taking 211 shots and missing. Sajay Hook, just people like going in and just floundering, trying to make that 211. Here's Rahimov, you're like, you walk up behind him and you're like, there's a low probability of you making this lift. It just doesn't seem like it's a high possibility that you'll beat Liu Xiaojun here. But I think you should take a shot at 214.
Yeah.
Do you think that's what his coach said to him?
No.
What do you think he said?
I don't even know if he said anything. Probably just screamed
let him
at him.
Go.
Yeah. Probably just rubbed his earlobes, screamed at him a little bit.
Facial massage.
And then that's like, was Rahimov even present?
Yeah.
Or is he just so captured in the moment that he can't even process what's going on?
No idea.
He has no clue what's going on.
Yeah. All right.
What would you do? Would you tell him he's going out to take gold, or you just obviously that's what you're there for?
You're a coach, right? So you're like, what can I do right now to help this guy?
Yeah.
Right. Obviously, you're going down the list of things you know are scientifically guaranteed to help. Rub his earlobes, rub the top of his head, smack his butt a little bit, rub his shoulders and the sides, right? That's well researched. We know that definitely works.
Yeah.
And then you're like, hey, try really hard.
Yeah.
Like try as hard, as hard as you can imagine trying. Try harder than that, and you'll probably make this. And hell, fuck, if you press it out, I already slipped a couple $100 to the judges.
Yeah. Do you think other calls like that exist in weightlifting history?
Randy Strawson, I referenced him already, told me a story. I asked him one time, what's the most impressive lift you've ever seen? And he told me, this is before Lasha. He told me Andrei Chemurkin, 96 Olympics, taking 272.5, which would have been a monster. It would have been the biggest clean and jerk ever tried.
Yeah.
It was. And he said that he watched him in the back room. And he said in the warm-up room, all of the coaches and every single competitor stood on one side of the warm-up hall. And he was in the middle of the train, like warm-up hall, just pacing back and forth.
Yeah.
And like everyone was just kind of standing out of his way. And all of his coaches, all these people like handling him just stopped. They just didn't do anything. They just watched him do this because what were they going to say? What were they going to do? Like, what are you going to tell the guy who's going to go for a 600-pound clean and jerk?
Right.
Like, keep it close, right? Like he's
pull hard.
This is a heroic moment, right? Where it's just like, what else can you say? And Randy was like, that was the most incredible thing because he actually tried it. It wasn't like he went out there and pulled it or pretended. Like he said, he almost had it. He actually tried to go into the bar, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah,
coming from Randy, who'd seen everything. So yeah, that was one of those moments for sure.
Yeah,
Chmerkin, maybe we just discovered another person on the list.
Yeah, he's actually pretty good. I don't think he gets a ton of credit.
Yeah,
because he wouldn't come to the forefront of mind when I think about the greatest supers.
Right. Yeah, he did do 260.
Yeah.
He did beat Ronnie Weller. Interesting moment again. Ronnie Weller takes his last clean and jerk at the Olympics, takes his shoes off on the platform, kind of looks like he thinks he's won it, throws his shoes into the audience, right? Just celebrating. Goes in the back, realizes Chmerkin's got one more lift. Chmerkin comes out and does a 260 clean and jerk to win it.
Yeah.
One of the biggest press outs I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It was brutal. But he gets the lift, like at a national event, like if that was a USA Nationals, they would have revoked his membership and they would have kicked him out of the meet.
Charged him
for that press out. Yeah.
Charged him for press out.
Charged him the press out fee.
Yeah.
That's a possible revenue stream here. USAW.
It's almost the equivalent of the swear jar.
Right. But it was one of those moments where you're like, sucks to be Ronnie Weller at this moment because you think, oh shit, I did it. Done, throw the shoes, everything, and then dude comes out for one more lift.
Yeah.
You can't do that when Chmerkin's still in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see Chmerkin kind of in there, but again, he's Olympic champion, so he kind of did it. And what was he gonna do? I mean, I guess 272, but that was kind of I don't know, maybe a Hail Mary. It's one of those things we didn't see.
Right.
Who else do you think on the list?
It's a really tough question because you start to wonder, is it peak potential or is it just never having done anything at all? I kind of look at what are you measuring by, right? Is it
I would say
Olympic
peak.
medalists?
I would say this person could have clean and jerked 250 and they did 220.
Yeah.
Right. Or whatever. Right. Where it's okay, man, we saw that person. I think there's people we didn't see the best of before they ended.
Yeah. I almost wonder if Shane Heyman could have been better than he was.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And just in terms of sheer strength numbers, if you would have managed the training process differently or more effectively,
right,
how much higher those could have been, given that he is the best American weightlifter to date, at least super.
Yeah. No one's even actually, I was gonna say no one's come close, but Kaiser Witt did 190, which is still 7 kilos off, but it's closer than anyone else has come.
Yeah. Do you think Kaiser's going to get close?
In the snatch.
Yeah, in the snatch.
I don't think he's got 240.
It's a massive clean and jerk. It's so huge.
But yeah, I would say that's a good one. And then maybe Mark Henry.
Yeah, Mark Henry.
Because Mark Henry didn't do it for that long.
Yeah.
And he was really had the potential. And he was the kind of guy like Mark Henry, if he'd have kept going or had been 100% invested in weightlifting for the entirety of his athletic career, from that perspective, he possibly would have been one of those guys that we could have seen way bigger numbers. 200 snatch.
Yeah.
200 and maybe 240. He could have been better than Shane probably.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. I wonder, and not that this guy had a ton of potential, but just given his track record, Daniel Godelli is tends to always bomb out.
You can't even put that guy in this. That's the worst. That's the worst person you could possibly select. Josh.
In regards to
Daniel Godelli has bombed out of
have done
6 meets in a row.
That's the point. So it's 6 totals he didn't make.
Yeah, but what was the total going to be? 150 to 190.
Yeah.
It was there was a guy who bombed out of 6
meets. He was great in the B group.
Yeah, he bombed out of, and then the other Albanian, Bricken, Calvin Bricken. Yeah. Again, another guy who has bombed.
Yeah.
He's made a career out of bombing out of meets.
So you can move this criteria all over the place. Then you say Karapatian, who has hit some of the biggest snatches in terms of variation lifts, and then just never puts anything together.
He got hurt, so I would take him out of that because it was he had an injury. He actually was an Olympic he got hurt at the Olympics.
Yeah.
And then that was it. But like, I don't know if he had that much more. Like, I don't think we were going to see him do some mega records in the clean and jerk.
Yeah.
It was good, but like, it was kind of like we knew his numbers, you know, like one of those guys. Like, I would say someone like who's lived to their potential was like Szymon Kolecki, who did, you know, like 185 snatch, 233 clean and jerk, right? Like, he wasn't going to do more.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to do a 240. So we saw the best of the best out of him.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like maybe in training he had done more, but like that was kind of an example of somebody who like totally lived up to it.
I feel like Piros did.
Yeah, Piros
really maximized everything he could.
He won a lot of meets on body weight and on tying the total and like just like being a competitor that made those lifts.
Yeah.
He told me he'd done bigger lifts in training, like I want to say 190-ish snatch as like a heavy 85 and then like 220 clean and jerk.
Yeah.
But those are not wildly bigger than what he did in a meet.
Right.
Yeah, he did 215.
Yeah.
So like that's a good example of a guy who probably lived it up.
Yeah.
He also was like a 3-time gold medalist, you know.
Are there a lot of guys who have come like 95 to 98% of their best training lifts as consistently? Or as often? Yeah, like maybe.
I'm sure. I mean, yeah, the one that I would say comes to mind is Anatoly Kripati.
Yeah.
Kazakhstani, basically like the original Ilya Ilin.
Yeah.
Same kind of like bubbly personality. And like there was some thing where he basically made every snatch internationally for, I want to say like years.
Wow.
At every meet. Just an incredible competitor. He's underrated because 405 from Vardanyan was this monster number. Total 405. And everyone was like, holy shit, the Vardanyan 405 is just like, that's it. Kripati, no one even remembers that he did 402 and a half in the same meet, same weight class.
Wow.
2.5 kilos less. And it's like,
wow. It's a whisper.
That's where the saying, it's a Kazakhstani saying, if you're not first, you're last.
Yeah.
That's where that comes from. Might as well. No one even remembers him. It doesn't translate exactly that way in Kazakhstani. Like it's a little different, you know? But yeah, sad.
Yeah.
Sad. He's dead.
Yeah.
You didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
You don't even know what he looks like.
Well, I remember the Weightlifting House calendar. I think that's a picture of him. He's got massive quads.
Alive. A picture of him. Not passed away.
Yeah, of course they don't have a picture of him passed away.
I'm making sure people on our listeners know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you ever seen the Weightlifting House calendar? It just has everyone who's been deceased for a number of years in the calendar.
It's the 2023 calendar. It's just corpses, lifters, and graded tombstones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say those are probably pretty good. I can't think of anyone else.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to hear some feedback from people, like who they think never lived up to their potential and why. Not just like...
You can't put yourself down, though. That's not fair.
Yeah.
It would be all of us.
You can put Max down.
Yeah, I definitely did not live... Well, I'd rather have not lived up to my potential than had, like, surpassed it.
Yeah.
And it was just low.
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah, no, there's no way Max was going to snatch 300 pounds, and somehow he did.
Yeah.
Right? So I slipped that in there.
Well,
slip that in so you guys all know that I did that number.
Yeah.
It's important to me.
You did 140, right?
Yeah, I did 140.
That's huge.
308.
Yeah.
Pounds.
Clean jerk 170.
Yep. American pounds. All right. I don't know if I can think of anyone else.
No, I don't think so.
I like this, though. Why don't you guys put in the comments who you think was the, let's say, top 3 unrealized potential, people that we just never got a chance to see the best out of. And maybe, maybe you're insane like Josh and you think Ilya Ilin belongs on that list. Then maybe put the 3 that you think just blew you away. Like, how the fuck did these people make the list they made?
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for listening to the Weightlifting.ai podcast. If you're interested in getting in touch with myself or Josh, you can find me on Instagram, max_Ada, teamada.com. If you're interested in anything beyond that, any kind of special private stuff. And then if you want to find Josh, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me at Josh_Phil WL. That's PHILWL, philosophicalweightlifting.com. You can use the code PhilWL at onyxstraps.com and at Weightlifting House to save 10% off all straps, wraps, and merch.
Now, we just got done talking about people who did not live up to their potential and people who exceeded their potential. If you want to be in either one of those groups, preferably the former group or the latter group, you need to check out Weightlifting.ai. The app is amazing. It's going to build individualized programming for you, adapt to you as you train, It is extremely flexible. You can change exercises. You can change days of the week, change the cycle length. You can move things around. It's amazing. Go ahead and check it out right now. This is not coming out in January, so go ahead and just go to the website, weightlifting.ai, for the best programming there is. We'll see you next time.